So I had an idea that I should buy a bunch of different semi-chisel chains and just show some of the differences between them and how they work. My initial plan was just to get them, do some test cuts with them, and we can see the different cut speeds between them because they all had different corner radiuses. Well, things progressed and I thought I'd try and explain what they actually like to live with. The only thing is I didn't realise just how long it would take to gather all that information. So I'm going to show you guys the initial cutting with these things. There was 4 different chains to begin with. These are the initial cuts as they are new, just to compare the cut speeds between them. After that, we'll have a talk about them. First one, great. Second one, blood. Eh? Semi?
Really?
It's blood. It lost the ability to feed about halfway through cut 2. So initially I started out with 4 different chains. I have 2. Both of these were bought as replacements for the ones that I had. So it's taking me 12 months. Those initial cut tests were done at the end of June last year, and I cleared out the last of those RM chains. There was 2 of them only about 2 weeks ago. So we can go through and have a bit of a talk about what they actually like to live with. I'm going to start with this, which is the Husky S85. I'm going to start with this because out of it was my favorite, but it's also the one that I cannot recommend. The problem with this chain is it's only available in 58 gauge. These are all 3/8, so all 58 gauge. This is only available in 58. Everything else was available in a different size. My understanding is in America, they can buy a 50 gauge version of this, but it does have the hump drive link, the bumper link. This stuff cuts really well. It's a very well designed corner. It's very easy to live with. Very little stretch. It's very easy to file. Everything about this chain is extremely good, but its application is so limited because you can only get it in this 58 gauge size. So unfortunately, that means for most people, it is essentially useless, which is a shame. I run this 72 drive link one. This is the second one that I've had. I have another 105 link one that I use on a 32-inch chain, 32-inch bar. Very good chain, just very limited applications. So the next one I want to talk about I don't have here. That was the Prokut. This chain was a perfect example of why cheap doesn't necessarily mean value. It was cheap. It was half the price of the Husky and the Stihl chains. However, it was just so appallingly bad, I gave up on it very early. In the initial cuts that I showed, it actually lost its edge after the first cut and slowed right down. I thought this was just a bad factory grind. I resharpened it and tried again and got it pretty much the same result. Now, I just assumed that I'd stuffed it up as well, so I carried on trying to use it over the course of the following month or two. And every time, no matter how I sharpened it, whether it was me with a file, I ground it, I used a file guide, I changed the angles, I did everything I could, and that chain was so soft, it would cut well for between 3 to 5 cuts and then just drop off rapidly. So essentially, whilst it was cheap, it was definitely not good value because I just couldn't get any actual life out of it. The next one along was the Stihl RM. I've had very mixed results with RM chains lately. I continue to buy it in 404 because it's the only skip semi I can buy. I don't like it in 3/8. The factory grinds have been very bad that I've had lately in the course of the last 18 months, 2 years. Even once you sharpen them, when you run it in comparison with other chains, it's just not that good. The cut speed's fine. It just feels bad. It's not as nice to sharpen. There's just, I don't know, there's something about it that I just don't like. I do like the 404 version, that 46 RMF, because I can get it in a skip. I do like the 23 RS Pro, the 50 gauge narrow curve. It is very good. Apart from that, I'm not a big fan of the RM chains throughout the range. I don't really like them in the little 043 low pros. I'm not a big fan of the 50 gauge low pro either. I don't know, just maybe personal preference, not my favorite. So the other one I tested is the Oregon, this is a DP, it's available in DP, which means it's just the cutter as normal, and the DPX has the humped drive link. This stuff has a long and interesting history. This is actually the first ever 3/8 semi-chisel that was made. 1963 it came in. It was made to work on the Homelite XL12, which was the world's first magnesium case lightweight direct drive saw. It really started everything. And this was the chain they come up with. Over time it's changed. It got the vibe links added, the vibe band added to the straps, tie straps and on the length. That's pretty much it. That was all that was modernized on it. Nothing else has really changed with it. You can still buy it as this, which is called a DX, or you can buy it as a DPX with the humped link. The good thing about it is it's available in all the sizes, so you can get any of the 3/8, so you can get your 50, your 58 and your 63 gauge, which makes it universal. It has a large radius. It's not very fast cutting compared to something like the Husky one, but it is very durable. It's extremely nice to file. Everything about it works pretty well. I can see why they never really changed it. There was no real need. Just from my own point of view, I'd like to see Oregon make a smaller quarter radius 3/8 semi. They've done it in 404, they've done it in 325. Everything else did. They just never changed this. This is probably the best value out of all of them. It's generally available for a pretty reasonable price. It was the Stihl and the Huskies were the same price. This was maybe 70% of the cost of those when I bought them. It is good value. It holds an edge really well. It's nice and easy to file. This is the old style Oregon chains. They feel quite soft when you file them. It's quite nice in that aspect. They're easy to keep running, easy to live with. Pretty good chain, honestly. Can't fault it. But yeah, that was my findings. Thought I would knock this out in a month or two, but it ended up taking 12 months. Like I said, these two are replacements. I'm not going to buy any more of the RM, and I'm definitely not buying any more of that Prokut. That was just poor value, really. So, don't know if this helps anyone. I might be the only one really interested in playing with 3/8 semis, but they're usually a pretty good compromise. You're giving up that cut speed in return for that durability. They're very easy to sharpen, especially these big corner radius ones. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. Hopefully next time it takes me less than a year to work it out.